You may have heard of their work before, you may have not, but I find what they're doing very interesting. Some may find it a little controversial, but let's get into this and learn a little bit more before we make our judgment. Okay, so Paedophile Hunters. If you don't know what they do, they're a group of people who work online. They pose as underage children, receive messages from adults, arrange to meet them, go and meet them and sting them there and call the police. Now, on the front of this, what incredible work. But before we get into that a little deeper, I wanted to investigate a video where one of them is actually talking about what they do. So let's get into this.
So literally, I set up a profile not so long ago, probably a week or two ago, and already on that profile is 173 friends requests, and that's of a child. That's a profile of a 12-year-old girl, and I can guarantee that some of them will be linked to rings, paedophile rings. I experienced some things as a child that I really shouldn't have gone through, that I never got justice for, I never got answers for. So it kind of took me to a dark place. I saw one day a live video of a paedophile being stung, and it intrigued me, and it started from there. I've stung a lot of different sexual predators from all different walks of life, and now I'm used to it's the same patter, they come out with the same excuses. I was hacked, or I didn't know what I was doing, or I was drunk, or all these different things. And that's when you realise that it's, the realisation is set in that actually this thing that they've been hiding for so long is now out. The cat's...
Okay, I wonder whether you've seen the videos of these stings, which is what they're calling them, where they actually get the offender to come and meet what they think is going to be an underage girl or boy, and then this guy arrives. If you've never seen any of those videos before, they are actually fascinating, because you see, usually it's every video that I've seen, it's been a man, and you see them crumble at the realization that they've actually been caught, and all the evidence is there in the text messages, the request of nudes, or what they're going to do to them, or it's just the grooming process. And you saw at the start of this video how he said, didn't he? He'd set up the profile a couple of weeks ago and he's got hundreds of friends requests. This really highlights the scale of this problem. And he also said that it's people from all walks of life, which I'm pleased that we now start breaking down this stereotype of this being some old 60-year-old lonely man sat behind his computer. I believe this is also fathers, family men, people who look like they are good people in society, also doing this, also got this desire in their mind that they can't control, and so they actually go out and seek to serve it. So,
out of the bag.
Do you mind talking about how you got that blank profile?
So literally, I set up a profile not so long ago, probably a week or two ago, and already on that profile is 173 friends requests, and that's of a child. That's a profile of a 12-year-old girl, and pretty much all of them are from England.
Huh.
And I can guarantee that some of them will be linked to rings, paedophile rings.
What's the one you feel pride of stuff?
We had a team of decoys working for us, and a guy was under a profile called Danny Williams on Facebook. He was talking about bullying the kids, talking about, anal sex with the kids, and it just got really, really bad, to the point where I was even telling my decoys not to engage in conversation because it was just vile. He was a bully, a narcissistic bully. He was already released under investigation, so he was under investigation at that point, and then we turned up and stung him. But I put a picture of him on the page probably half an hour, 40 minutes after we'd left the police station, and within 10 minutes I was contacted off a 17-year-old girl who had been raped by him from the age of 12 upwards. She'd never told anybody in her life that she'd been raped or abused by him, and I was the first person that she disclosed to. I instantly knew that I needed to put her in touch with the police if she was willing to do that. She did that, and the following day she went and gave a statement and secured 5 counts of rape on him. And on the 4th of June, just gone, he was jailed for 8 years.
It's a sad story. So, it's a really sad story. So, they're quite clearly doing great work. And I have heard some opposition to these paedophile hunters and the work that they do. And that opposition is that they are taking the law into their own hands. And my reaction to that is, if the government were putting enough money into these situations and the police were equipped with enough manpower and officers and teams to crack down on this, then people like this man there wouldn't be a need for him to do this work. Of course, this group of people feel the need to take the law into their own hands because the law is not doing enough. You can only imagine, if you are of any age under 18, the kind of experience you are having online. People must be sliding into your DMs constantly. It's not the case of like 1 in 1,000 children being approached. 1 in 1,000 children would be a terrible statistic, but it's not that, is it? I'm going to say 1 in 10, easily 1 in 10. And most of them won't even know they've been approached by an adult who's posing as a young, as someone their age with a fake profile. So I have been talking frequently about getting children educated on the dangers of being online. And I still believe in that. However, after learning more about these situations, I think we should be putting equally as much focus, if not more focus, on the people that are actually carrying out the crimes. And this group of people are doing that. So how can we be critical of their work?
That's a real person. That's a real 12-year-old who's had to live through those times. And then just because I put a picture on a Facebook page, for her to come forward and disclose, one, that she's been raped and abused by him, but then to go own it and follow it through. He had no option but to plead guilty.
By the way, something I just missed on commenting on. We heard the numbers here, right? She'd been raped multiple times from the age of 12. She got the man that did this to her charged on 5 counts of rape, and he got 8 years. 8 years.
Strong, inspirational young woman.
Why are you wearing a mask?
Because it's not about me. What I don't want is people stopping me in the street and saying, "Oh my God, you're a paedophile hunter." Because I've seen other hunters go down that road, and I've seen the whole Facebook persona take over. That's not me. It's not who I am. I'm just doing it because I can, and because I want to, and it's the right thing to do. Paedophile hunters get a lot of shit in the in the media. We're portrayed as vigilantes, but we're not in any way, shape or form bringing about our own laws. This is a law of the country that we're abiding by, and this is, every single case that we've processed and put through has been charged and found guilty. There's not too much vigilante about that to me.
Okay, so I'm guessing, I'm absolutely guessing, by the way, that vigilante is when the general public take law into their own hands. I'm pretty sure I've got that right. And he's just mentioned there, right, that they get criticism. The group of people get criticism. But if they're saving young people, why would we criticise? And if the law can't handle the magnitude of this situation, then these people are almost feel like they've got no choice but to do this work. And for anyone that is feeling an emotion or a reaction inside of them of the police are useless, I just want to back the police for a moment here, because I feel like, yes, some of them are useless. A percentage of anyone in any job is going to be useless at it. But my experience when I tried to prosecute the man that did this to me when I was a child was they were working hard. They were working seriously hard, but their hands were tied because they just got no money, no funds. Nobody sees the importance of this. So the people above them who call the shots don't care about this. The government are cutting their funds frequently, so they just haven't got enough money to get this situation. But also, I feel like the situation is so big, they just can't handle it. The officer said to me that was trying to pursue my case, we have more reports than we can deal with. The reports of child sexual abuse from people who are speaking out are coming in quicker than we can deal with them.
Are there people you wouldn't stop?
It's a very grey area in what we do, because there are people online that are vulnerable themselves. For instance, if we get someone who starts speaking to one of the decoys and we suspect that person might have some kind of learning difficulties, contact at that point is stopped, and then we'll reach out to adult social services and sometimes the police to try and, as mad as it sounds, safeguard that person from themselves.
Wow. That's interesting.
It takes 5 minutes to check a child's device, literally 5 minutes. There's not many, there's probably 5 or 6 apps that children go on that are the most popular platforms, and they're also most popular for grooming. So if you've got a child that's on, say, Snapchat or Instagram or WhatsApp or Facebook, and you don't know who your child is talking to, then really you should know who your child is talking to, because they could be speaking to anybody. The risks online are very, very real, and your children are in danger if they're left unsupervised on an iPhone or a tablet.
Okay, so how do we go about this? Are we going to say to anyone that has children of their own that they need to start going into that child's phone and opening all the apps and checking all the messages? I'm not sure that is going to be sustainable, first of all. I mean, I'm trying to think about being a 15-year-old, you don't want your parents going through your phone. It's an invasion of privacy. So I'm not sure if that really can work. And also, if you were to go through a teenager's phone and check their messages, you're going to be reading some approaches from other people who are posing as the same age as them, for example. So you're actually not going to see anything wrong with some of the messages that could be adults behind closed doors. So again, I feel like to equip the child with the tools and the knowledge of how to navigate themselves online is one great thing. And also to just be having open conversations to the adults who are doing these things and thinking of doing these things, to be reaching out to them as well with clever adverts or clever information to try to stray them away from carrying out that behavior. Because there's going to be plenty of men who are thinking about doing this but haven't done it yet. So you can't, it's not like you can put them in prison, right? They haven't done it yet. So if we can reach them before they do it, of course, that's prevention. That's almost feels like the definition of prevention, of course. So it's like there's so many angles. There's so many angles we need to go down an action to start combating this very complex and prevalent situation.
While I do what I do, and I've done it successfully for nearly 3 years, predators are still able, more than able. It does happen. A predator was able to get through to my son and message him on Instagram and say, this was only probably about 2 months ago.
Wow.
And say, I want you to send me pictures, I'll pay you money.
Wow.
We are seeing that as a direct result of the Facebook page being there and the awareness that's generated, we're seeing real results.
Come on.
I've pretty much now dedicated my life to it.
Come on.
Before I started that, I really struggled with my identity and who I was and what I was meant to be and where I fitted into society. If I can stop one person, just one person with this from becoming another version of me and having to live the same kind of life that I have, then, that's the power of one. You'll never truly understand how many people you're reaching, but as long as it's one, then, job's done.
Yes.
It's quite possibly the best therapy that I've ever had, because it's exposure therapy. Every single time I go out on the road, apart from today, I'm stood in front of a paedophile, asking them why they're doing what they're doing. And I've never got the answer. I'll never be able to understand what they do. But every time we get a result, it's as if little Mike gets a little bit of peace.
Oh. Whoa. It's so powerful. His work is his therapy. I relate to that so deeply. And every time they save one person, it's like little Mike, which I'm guessing Mike is his name, and that little Mike is the child he was when whatever happened to him happened, gets a bit of peace. I can relate so deeply. In the presentations that I'm doing at the moment in school, somebody asked me, is it not hugely traumatic every time you're talking about your story? And what did he call it here? Exposure therapy. And I'm like, no, not anymore. I've spoken my story 1,000 times. And with each time I spoke it just broke down the lock or the boundaries around it. And now I see how much good it's bringing. It's like I'm excited to tell it now. I want to tell it now. There's no sadness or fear around it now. It's so powerful what he's saying, right? So powerful.
A little bit of a little bit more of the jigsaw slots into place.
Good on you. Brilliant. Okay. By the way, Unilad. I don't know whether you know about them. They're a massive platform, ginormous. Lad Bible, a very similar platform, ginormous online. I would love my work to eventually catch the attention of these platforms. And I'm working very hard at the moment trying to launch the Something to Say podcast. A couple of volunteers have come forward after a post that I put out, seeing if anybody could help me produce that. I put it out on my social media last week. A couple of volunteers have come forward and I'm speaking to them at the moment just to see if I can get these interviews that I'm doing on my YouTube channel put out there in audio format, in podcast format, so people can listen to them on their way to work or when they're doing their jobs at home, etc. So I'm really hoping to progress that immediately. And wouldn't it be incredible to get this guy on an interview, help us understand the various sides to this situation that the world has on its hands, seriously. And just to hear him talk about his work, the effects of it, the criticism that he gets, why he's doing it and why he won't stop is hugely powerful and hugely inspirational and encouraging. I felt that, and maybe you felt that as well. So let's end it there. That was a great insight into this group of people, and whether you support it or not, whether you have your criticism for what they're doing, whether you think they should or shouldn't be doing what they're doing, they save children. And that's an incredible thing. Thank you.